Namaste everyone. In this video we will going to talk about the cell injury, the general pathology chapter, cell injury. First year of it is of first year MBBS. Now let's talk about the cell injury. So there are the four general causes of the cell injury. The one first is capacity for the adaptation exceeded. Now exposure to the toxic or injurious agents, and due to the deprived of nutrients or the mutation disrupts the metabolism, and this is a reversible to a point. The cell injury is a reversible to a point. Severe or the persistent injury may be irreversible and it may lead to the cell death. And there are two ways the cell dies. These are the necrosis and the apoptosis. Necrosis is the inflammatory process and apoptosis is the non-inflammatory process. So necrosis is preceded by the classic cellular changes. The reversible changes is converted to the irreversible changes. Now let's talk about the reversible cell injury and irreversible cell injury. First talk about the reversible cell injury. Now in the reversible cell injury there is a first feature is cellular swelling. Now cellular swelling is due to the this is the major feature of the most form the cellular injury, and there occur the hydrophic changes. That is the water accumulation inside the cell. This is hard to see under the microscope, and it is caused due to the decrease in the sodium potassium ATPase pumps. So it is caused due to the less sodium and the potassium active pumps. If there is a less active of the potassium pumps, then in the inside the cells there will be the more sodium, and the calcium will be the more inside the cell. And if there is a more sodium or the calcium in the cell, there is a less activity and the hydrophic change occurs in the cell, and so the cellular swelling occurs. Now the next change is the fatty change. It is seen only in the systems that heavily metabolize the fatty acids. Example is liver, heart, skeletal muscles, and these lipid vacuoles appear in the cytoplasm. And now third changes is mitochondrial swelling, and the fourth change is membrane bleeding. This is due to the disruption of the cytoskeleton of the cell, and in the fifth feature is a dilation of the endoplasmic reticulum. This is due to the ribosome detached from the endoplasmic reticulum, and there will be a decrease in the protein synthesis, and so this step is also known as the polysomal detachment, and there it causes the dilation of the endoplasmic reticulum. Now polysome means the cluster of ribosomes. So these all are the features of the reversible cell injury. Now the next we will talk about the irreversible cell injury, that is the necrosis. Irreversible cell injury is also known as the necrosis, and the first feature is membrane damage. Contents leak due to membrane damage and causes the inflammation, serum detection of the cell contents, troponin lipase, and there is calcium dependent phospholipases. Membrane damage occurs due to the calcium dependent phospholipases. This is the enzyme which causes the membrane damage, and it causes inflammation because it leaks the contents outside the cell. And second feature is a rupture of the lysosomes. These enzymes degrade the cellular contents. So the enzymes from the lysosomes degrade the cellular contents. Now third one is there is a classic nuclear changes. Three types of nuclear changes occurs in the irreversible cell injury. That is a karyolysis, pycnosis, and the karyoresis. And this karyolysis is the loss of basophilic or the dark color in the cell, and the pycnosis is the nuclear shrinkage, and then the karyoresis is the fragmented nucleus. So let's discuss all these three nuclear changes in the details. So first is karyolysis. First is karyolysis. This karyolysis is due to the nuclear fading, and the pycnosis is due to the nuclear shrinkage, and this karyoresis is due to the nuclear fragmentation. So in the nuclear fading or the karyolysis, the chromatin dissolutions due to the action of DNA and the RNAs occurs, and in the nuclear shrinkage, DNA condenses into the shrunken basophilic mass, And in the nuclear fragmentations, pycnotic nuclear membrane ruptures and nuclear undergo the fragmentations. In this way, the karyolysis undergo the nuclear fragmentations. Their pycnosis, nuclear shrinkage occurs, and the karyolysis, nuclear fading occurs. And these all three mechanisms lead to the nuclear dissolutions, and the cell becomes the anuclear or the necrotic cells. These are the features of the irreversible cell injury. Now let's discuss about the mechanism of injury, how the injury occurs. So the mechanism of injury, there are the four mechanisms of the cell injury. First is if there is ATP depletion, then the injury occurs. If there is a high calcium, if there is a mitochondrial damage, and if there is a free radicals, these all causes the cell injury. And the first is ATP depletions. There are the many causes of ATP depletions: decrease oxygen supply, or the mitochondrial damage, or there is a direct effect of the some toxins. So there is a loss of membrane pumps, the loss of and the protein synthesis. Next is calcium. Normally calcium is low with compared to the outside the cell. Okay, but calcium influx is the hallmark of a injury, that is released from the intracellular storage and influx across the cell membrane causes the cellular injury. And there is a calcium dependent phospholipids is activated by the increased calcium, and this causes the breakdown of a membrane phospholipids and damage to the cell membrane of the cell membrane, and it also damages the mitochondria. And now the mitochondrial damage, next mechanism is mitochondrial damage. It is caused due to the lack of oxygen, reactive oxygen species, mitochondrial permeability transition poor. So it is opened by the calcium, loss of membrane potential, and there is a failure of oxidative phosphorylation. So these all are about the injury, cell injury. We talked about the reversible and the irreversible cell injury, their all features and the mechanisms. Thank you.